Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. We've got a busy house here today, and you're in for a treat because we're going to be around for 90 minutes. 90 minutes of fun. We had a bit of a last-minute change. If you tried and tune in, I can't speak today, to the session on Monday. So we have Joe again today. Joe, thanks for coming back.
Hello. Hopefully YouTube doesn't go down.
We're live right now, so I think it's all working smoothly. And we have Sophia as well. Sophia, how are you doing?
Hello.
We're back. We saw each other 2 weeks ago, and we promised everyone that we would wrap up the festive challenge that's been going. So I'm just nipping in here today, and then I'll, disappear, make an exit, and let you two have the session without me in the background. But I did want to have a bit of a quick overview of what's been going on in the last 2 weeks, and also share a huge thank you for everyone who joined in, watched the sessions. I know Rachel and Hazel did an amazing fresco session covering the challenge, and we've just been following all your work on Instagram, Behance, and Discord as well. So we're here again, and we're ready to announce the winner, Sophia.
Yes, we just announced the German winner, and now we are here in the UK winner announcement, because I don't know if people know that already, but we're going to have 3 winners actually. I think initially we thought we're just going to have 1, but we had so many amazing submissions that it was almost impossible just to pick 1. So I think Emma was the one that was like, we have to announce 3 people. We have to make this a regional, give every region of the Adobe live stream 1 subscription and a print. So 1 winner for each region. So this is the UK winner. And we're also going to have 1 in France, which is going to be announced. And we already announced the 1 in Germany. So we're just going to go over quickly about the stuff that we've received in the UK to give some love to the community and show all the wonderful things that we have received. And then we're going to announce the winner. And
exactly.
Do we just jump in?
Yeah, for sure. And if you didn't catch the German stream earlier on, you can still watch it on replay, and obviously stay after this as well to watch the French one and see who won that. And even if you didn't participate and you're not based in France, if you speak French or German, come along and you might see some amazing work in there. And Joe, we love your commentary as well, so let us know if you have any favorites out of these as well. And
do I need to practice my French? Do I need to?
These are just the UK ones.
Don't worry.
Just everyone. Bon.
Love that.
So here we have Rachel,
great.
right? And we have Rachel here, which I think is a lovely. How did she? That is Illustrator. I'm learning so much about Illustrator. Since I'm doing live streams, I feel like I'm turning into a tiny expert. So many tips and tricks I'm learning. And this looks really lovely, looks super wintry. Love the colors, the little purple tint in it. Really nice. We're gonna jump over to Hazel real quick. Also, really like this. Oh, this is a video of how she did
and it's all on Fresco. Yeah, so they worked through this on Fresco. Some of you at home are always tuning into the sessions and love having a little bit of a draw along. So it was really nice to see that.
Yeah.
Is this something Fresco does automatically? It just screen records, or do you?
You can do it at the end, yeah. So you can when you export, you can have a little overview of how it went.
That's so cool.
I think that's a really fun part, and speed it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I love seeing the process.
Hazel's amazing.
Yeah.
She works a lot through her illustration in art form. So she has this kind of oil effect that she loves to use.
Really nice. Super nice illustration. The light coming through the window. We always were wondering, is it a sunrise or is it a sunset?
Ooh.
We're already making jokes in the German stream that if you illustrate a sunrise, you have to get up really early. So
I'd say with the touch of the robin on the windowsill, I'm pretty sure they sleep quite heavily. So I'm going to say it's a sunrise.
It's a sunrise.
Ooh,
and also with the coffee.
I like the keen eye.
I mean, maybe it's not
true.
coffee. It might be
Details.
like a bedtime drink, but
Is it coffee or is it more like a sleep tea?
yeah.
Something like that. So we're gonna also just show quickly where the challenge came from, or like the inspiration to it. I'm gonna show Camilo's feed real quick. these are the illustrations that the challenge was based on. I think you can see really in the beginning of them. This is one of my absolute favorites here. The one with the really big orange sun and the little houses. And also this here, I think it looks very, I don't know, like Italy or France. I don't know why, but I look at this and I'm like, does this look like vacation? To me, it looks like vacation vibes. So yeah, these are the amazing illustrations and designs Camilo did. And really, if you haven't already, go check him out. He also has another challenge kind of, or like another project that he's doing for the next 30 days. So if you follow him, you'll get some nice illustrations every second day now. So let's move into
and also, before we jump on to the submissions, I want to say hi to everyone in the chat. We forgot that.
Yes,
we didn't
of course.
name people who always join us. And I really want to give some love to Sandrine, who's there. Julia's joining us, asking what we might win.
I knew it, Julia.
Out of this. She says, rumor has it it's a yacht. But you know, we'll share this in a little bit. We have Oliver who's watching, Angus. Yeah, just loads of people are excited. I'm not sure why we're talking about McDonald's in the chat, but we have some hungry viewers who are just ready for lunch.
Lunchtime already.
Yeah, Jackie's there. So yeah, Steve, as always. So yeah, thanks for joining. We do have 90 minutes. I think Oliver was saying this in the chat. 90 minutes of Sophia, Joe, and Emma. We're being spoiled. So loads of love. I will be heading out as well, so you'll be sticking with Sophia and Joe for the rest of the stream.
I hope you're not sad that it's just gonna be Joe and me.
I'm not at all.
No, like the chat is like, why is Emma not staying with us?
I know, right?
You're just going to join into the chat and just add in extra
exactly.
thoughts.
I'll still be around.
Speak up.
Yeah. So
anyway, carry
let's
on.
go over these. We have here first, the first one we have is a lovely coffee mug.
Yeah.
We have here, I think, is that done in, that's done with fresco. And I mean, I see the colors are really warm and nice. And I mean, we had an open assignment. You can interpret this however you want it. So I'm really impressed at how many people saw different things in the assignment and made it happen. So this is also cool. So I like I love coffee.
And
I like
the coffee theme.
Yeah.
Hot drinks.
The hot drinks.
So far.
So let's go
and
on.
to remind everyone, we had the hashtag on the light side.
Yes.
This was the main kind of brief and driver of the challenge. So anyone who tagged that on Instagram or anywhere else was participating.
Exactly. So we have Sandrine here. Also really nice. I like the softness. I like anything that has some sort of pinkish color in it. I'm really easy to like impress with pink and purple as a secret tip. And I really like the color palette. I like the softness of it. And is it done in Illustrator or Photoshop? Because I see Illustrator as a hashtag and Photoshop. So I'm always
keen in the
to
caption that it's Photoshop.
Yeah, Photoshop?
But yeah, it says Photoshop in the caption, but it could have also been a nice fresco illustration.
Yeah.
So well done, Sandrine.
Really nice. Yes. Really like the colors. Really warm. So we're going to go on to Stuart. This looks like a collage to me. That's like collage work, which I'm getting into a lot these days. So I really like that. Doing a little cutouts and collages and adding text to it. Also looks a bit like, to me, like a CD cover, which I think is cool. Like as if it's like the single for On the Light Side, kind of the cover for that.
It gives me like a film poster.
Or
vibe.
that. Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the B-side
like
is on the dark side.
Ooh.
Really cool. I like the color. I like that it has contrast. Really cool interpretation of the challenge. Good job, Stuart. And we have Oliver here, which is like, he is a photographer. I was really happy to also see some photographs. as submissions.
That was going to be my point. Yeah, and we have a photography theme session as well today with Joe. Who's going to kick us off just after. So, yeah.
I really like this because it's like almost like waking up in the morning and you look through your window. I like to believe that this is morning sunlight. Yeah, it's like waking up. It's a sunrise. Like you wake up, you look through the window and the sun is coming up. It's a really positive thing. If your day starts like that, it can't be that bad of a day for me at least.
I was going to add the flip side to that is that's quite often how my days end, where I've been up all night working on things and then the sun comes up and that's my go to bed call. Yeah.
So when you participating in this challenge, Joe, on the light side, you're like, what light?
Yeah.
Literally never seen light.
It was like light for me means going to bed.
Yeah.
And I want to say as well that Camilo was also, I know he's not with us on the session, but Camilo was also joining in to pick some of these, winners and make a selection and give his input. So, just a bit of a hello to Camilo and thanks for all your help as well. With your input and selecting some winners.
Yeah, so the jury was of Adobe, people from Adobe, people from like any kind of creative field. And yes, Camilo was also part of the jury who decided who's going to be the winner for this challenge. And let's move on. We have this wonderful illustration here, which I like a lot. It's like opening the curtains and you see the sun shining through. Really nice.
And Jonas is actually Finnish, it seems. So I was just in Finland when we were doing our first stream.
True.
Right? So
yes.
And Camilo is also Helsinki based, so we have a little bit of a thing going on.
True. Yeah, Finland. I had no connection to Finland for a really long time, and now I feel like it's popping up everywhere.
Surrounded.
Yeah,
invaded this
everywhere. People from Finland. Really want to go once we can travel again.
Definitely.
Yeah, we should.
It seems really nice. The countryside and everything we've seen in your Instagram stories, Emma, makes everyone want to go to Finland.
I'm glad. I've had people asking if I'm taking commissions from the Finnish government.
Yeah, you should probably sell that to some sort of traveling agency.
I'll look into it.
Really convincing.
Side hustle.
Yeah. So here we have John. How's that? How did he do that? I wonder. Is that fresco?
You scroll down a little bit. It says tools Photoshop. So Photoshop work. It seems that there was a preference in the submissions for Photoshop.
Really?
I'd like to see some Behance work as well. Always encouraging everyone to upload their work and have a project on Behance. There's just a ton out there and a huge community of creatives you can connect with. So great way to share your work, have a portfolio.
Really nice. Here the sun coming through, the Christmas tree. I guess it's a Christmas tree.
And we have John in the chat as well who's saying Photoshop.
And is this a Christmas tree, John?
John, let us know.
My interpretation of this is a Christmas tree.
Yeah, it feels mountain air. It could be somewhere in Bavaria, no?
And
you're
like
also from the south of Germany.
Down there.
Yeah.
So we have Jackie here.
Jackie's always tuning in, so
yes.
Saying hi to Jackie, who also won our challenge actually, and won a challenge earlier this year. So you seem to always be participating and be up for, the competition, which I love. So.
Got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, exactly. I love this mindset. Joe's like, yeah. Go for it.
For me, this one looks like a wonderful Christmas card, which is like a huge compliment. Like I don't mean that in a bad way. For me, this looks like a lovely Christmas card, like with the lettering and all the sun and the moon. I guess it's like the sun and the moon, like the sun and the moon around it.
And it would look great as print. So
yes,
card connection makes sense.
Really
this makes me think that Joe, you should do a challenge next year. We should see some of your kind of lead as well on something. Let's throw in some ideas in the chat.
What we could challenge on, like aisle organization, like who's got the tedious
desk.
John has a really nice desk. Joe, here we go. Jackie again. This was also really lovely.
I really like this. Yeah.
once again, really love when you can see how people did something. Like,
I like the touches of the swatches there. That's coming from an analog palette of actually putting it down on a like an easel or something.
Yeah. Really like the details as well.
And John is saying, I find this so tender and warm, and I think it's a nice description of
that is true.
Jackie's work.
Really lovely. Yeah. Is that, I'm trying to figure out if this is the body of the person. They're like wearing a hat. Here, you see this down here?
I thought it was a bear.
Is it a bear?
It might be a hat with bear ears.
Maybe.
Joe's taking the hybrid approach.
Let us know, Jackie. Is it a bear or is it a hat of like someone wearing a bear hat?
Oh, Jackie says it's a bear wearing a hat.
There we
go.
Custom hat design.
Okay. So those are the ears poking through the head? I guess.
I think so. Yeah. And Oliver is saying you could have nothing on your desk and Joe would still win a tidiness competition. So maybe we'll pick another theme for that.
So we have one more, I think. This is from Catherine. Really nice illustration. Really warm. Really, I think a mix of winter and summer kind of for me, because like the reindeer and then the summer with the bright yellow and orange. So really nice interpretation of the challenge. And I think those are all already like the highlights of the submissions from the UK. So I think it's time for some sort of drum roll. And the winner for the UK stream is
Oliver.
Congratulations.
Waiting for the chat.
We really liked the photo. It was really like Camilo actually picked you as the winner, and we really like that it's warm. It's this feeling like for Joe it's the feeling of going to bed, but for us it's the feeling of waking up and having a positive start into the day. So thank you a lot. You're winning 1 year CC subscription and also one print from Camilo. We're going to be in contact about how that's going to go. And yeah, thank you to everyone that sent in amazing designs and photos and illustrations. It was lovely to see the community come through for this challenge. And yeah, it was really hard to pick, actually. We didn't have fights about it, but it was a close call.
Actually, we're not talking anymore. We're just doing this for the stream.
Exactly.
You're like, bye. No, we
were fighting for days.
And I can only, repeat what Sophia just said. Thank you so much for all your submissions. And actually, I didn't want it to stop. We've seen so much growing on, this whole challenge, and it's been amazing to see. So if you're doing anything over Christmas, let us know as well. Keep on tagging us. We obviously want to see it. But yeah, Oliver as well, just a huge thank you for tuning in. I know you've been here since the start as well, always watching the live streams and being super passionate about the community and just chatting to us out there. So Tim is saying in the chat that we'll send you a DM and set that up. And yeah, big thank you to everyone else. So what's next? Before I leave, what's on for the session, guys? This is still happening. Joe is back for a reason as well. So what do we have in store before I head out?
So I've got some Lightroom on iPad this time to run through. So I know I've done quite a few streams before using Lightroom Classic, and there's always a question of, do I use Lightroom on iPad or Lightroom CC? And the answer is yes, but it fits into my workflow. And when it comes to using it on an iPad, that's usually when I'm out traveling. So I quite enjoy, in fact, I probably enjoy most of my editing when it's done on an iPad on something like a plane or a train or whatever. I think there's just something about the form factor to it, in that you're all encompassed into the actual screen, that I enjoy. So I'm going to share with that. I've not done a lot of iPad editing this year because I've not been traveling. So I've been making the most of my desk setup and everything. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to run through some iPad stuff, some workflow things, and be open to questions that people have got on how to, maximize your potential between the two devices.
Amazing. And I saw a little bit of winter photography, so I'm really excited to see this from the other side. So I'm leaving the chat to one of you because I'll be on the other side as well watching. But yeah, super excited to see this, and bye to everyone else. I'll head out.
Bye, Emma.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'm going to be taking care of the chat. I'm going to try to have a lookout for any questions that come in. And then let's jump into some of your photos.
Yeah, right. I think my screen should be sharing and on the screen. All good?
Yes.
Alrighty. So yeah, this is Lightroom on iPad. And as I said, I really enjoy the, I think it's just the full screen approach of using the iPad, because you don't get any distractions of having too large a screen. You've got like just other windows flying about and stuff. And there's no keyboard in the way, there's no mouse. Everything is just all about the photo. And there's something about the way that Lightroom CC works that make my images, whether it's just because they're Fuji files and they've sometimes struggled a bit on Lightroom Classic, but they just look so much better on iPad. I don't know what it is, but I just really enjoy them. There's something in the detail and the sharpness that I just seem to enjoy the way it renders. And the other aspect is it's just rapid. It is so fast. You can fly between your images, and the iPad is just super lean. Like if I went to, let's say, where have we got here? So say we've got a whole library of images. I can just scroll through, no issue at all.
Yeah.
Stop and join on one, and it works so much faster than anything else. I think it's a huge testament to how efficient the iPad is, and it just makes it such a joy to edit with. So if we go back to some sample images I've got here. So these are some of the images that I've got, and I've got some like befores and after, and I probably choose like one or two that I'll run through and edit. Yes. But before we get to this stage, let me just explain how I've actually got them on the iPad, because I think that's potentially one of the biggest sort of issues that people find themselves having a headache about. So I realized I probably should have shared my other screen. So Tim, I'm just going to switch over to my Mac in a second. And let's
also
go.
I just wanted to add on that, I use the iPad as well when I travel. I went to Colombia last year, and it was just so easy when you do some street photography and you just have the iPad with you and you can just easily edit stuff around. It's really nice and lightweight. You don't have to carry a laptop or anything.
Yeah, definitely. It's when you carry such a big heavy laptop, you really notice it when you're not carrying it. It's you get so used to having it, and then when you don't have it, you think, what was I doing? Yeah,
it does make a big difference.
Right, so this is my Lightroom Classic library. This is actually my 2019 library, which is a sign of how little I've actually used it on the iPad this year, because I categorize my catalogs by year, and then on the current year, that's the one that I'll set up to synchronize with Lightroom CC, because you can only have one library synchronized with Lightroom CC.
Yeah.
So on my classic library, and if we go to say my America collection here, so I've got a project with multiple different albums in. So everything is all in here, and I import into Lightroom Classic. But because this one is synchronized with my Lightroom CC, I can right click on my project, or album rather, and I can choose to synchronize with Lightroom. So I don't actually synchronize everything, I only choose particular ones. So in this case, I've done all of my ones from locations, but I've left behind some of the projects I've got, such as time lapses that are just hundreds of photos that all look very similar, and a few other projects and things that I'm working on. So the workflow includes Lightroom Classic. Everything's imported. I do my file renaming, and I've done videos and streams on this in the past before. Everything goes into there and is stored locally on my external SSD. I then choose that to synchronize, which also synchronizes into Lightroom CC, the new one. So if we go here into my locations, we can see all of my folder structure is here, and those same images are all loaded up. One thing to note with this is I don't actually synchronize the full size versions. I only synchronize the smart previews because I have no intention of exporting the full size from desktop on here because I have them in Lightroom Classic and I'm still more comfortable in that as a environment. And when it comes to synchronizing them to the iPad, again, those smart previews are so much lighter in file size and I can preview and view everything. But you can see that everything is all fully in sync and everything transfers across all your edits, your ratings, everything all comes together into the one library, and it's a unified approach. Likewise, any presets and settings that you've saved into Lightroom Classic, you can import those into Lightroom CC on desktop. So if we go into our edits, let's go choose an image. So we have all of our edits that have been made, they're all existing, and likewise our presets down the bottom. We can come up here and we can manage presets, import them, and those then synchronize over to the Lightroom on iPad and also on the iPhone and any other devices you've got signed into it. Everything all synchronizes, and that's kind of the most amount of admin work that's required to set it all up. And from here, I can then switch over to the iPad. So I think I'm done with this screen now, so I can end that one.
I have a question from the chat. John asks, where do you make the setting for lightweight export?
That is a good question. I think, so in Lightroom Classic, I'm just going to go into Preferences and have a look. Lightroom Sync. Where is this? Could be File. Maybe it's on the iPad itself. I've definitely seen it somewhere. This is one of those things where it's like you set it and forget it. There we go. Okay, so on the iPad, if that is the visible screen. So in your library, if you tap the three dots in the top right, and you go down to Settings and Cloud Storage and Sync, you can have the option here, only download smart previews. So that way your full-size images are there if you need to, but for the most part, you're only actually downloading those smart previews to work with.
Cool.
So that actually gives you a little bit more flexibility, because if you did want to export from your iPad a large file size, you could just download the full size of that one image. But for the most part, your whole library is going to be pretty lightweight and lean to go through.
Great.
So, here's a massive tip, actually. This is a huge thing. I remember when I first got Lightroom on iPad, and I started playing around with it, and this was my first iPad that had the pencil. And so I picked it up and I started doing it, and immediately I ran into an issue because I'm left-handed.
I'm left-handed too.
The best of us are. So
yeah.
I opened it up and all the controls were on the right hand of the screen. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work, is it? I'm going to have to... I
haven't even thought about that.
Use it like that. And so it just crossed my mind, and I thought, I wonder if they've thought about this. And so
you can switch it around?
And you can. Again, this is one of those things you set and forget. And it is in...
But not the shortcuts, probably, no.
There we go. Gesture shortcuts. At the very bottom, left-handed editing. Yes. So if we turn that off...
Wow, I really have to change that then, because I feel like I've just been working around it somehow.
Yeah, so this is how it looks traditionally. Most people use it this way, and of course they would probably use their hand, or if they're using the pencil.
Yeah.
But for me, picking up a pencil, it's always going to be in my left hand.
Oh, yeah. Same.
So, yeah, that was a massive feature. Little details like that really help. I'm also going to turn on show touches. I think that might just make it a bit more visible for you guys in the stream. Yeah. Okay.
Also, Laura asked, are these photos taken on the iPad or a camera?
So these were taken on a camera. I can't remember specifically. This one is either Fuji XH. Yeah, this was a Fujifilm XH1. Yeah, and then they're imported into Classic and then synchronized across. I don't know if I've ever actually taken a photo of my iPad. It's
me neither. I don't think
so. I've taken many screenshots by accident as well.
That's a challenge, like taking good photos on an iPad, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. It's you could, yeah. I mean, there's something nice about the idea of it because you've got such a huge screen. You could really sort of compose things. I think that's where people think you maybe get a higher resolution from it because you've got a bigger screen. But in reality, it's the same camera that's on an iPhone. So
yeah,
I'll always resort to that.
Always looks a bit funny when you see tourists here in Berlin. Like on my way, I sometimes see tourists in the middle of the city with like holding up huge iPads. It looks a bit funny.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we tap into an image from the library view, and over on the left, we've got all our edit options. So I've already edited this previously, but I'm just going to run through and have another crack at editing it and see how it comes out. So as I said, this was taken on Fuji camera, so I've got all the film simulations available here, and it's recognized Classic Chrome as the one that I shot it in, and I'm going to keep it in that, I believe. But we can also preview and we can see all these others depending on how Fuji reads the file, but I just love Classic Chrome. It's what camera do you shoot with?
I have a for photos, I use a Canon 6D Mark II, which is like the baby version of a 5D Mark II.
Yeah.
And for filming, I use a Sony Alpha 7S.
Yep. For a long time, I was in between Canon and Sony. I was using the Sony a lot for video and Canon for photo.
Yeah, that's kind of my setup at the moment.
So obviously this is a winter scene, and as I mentioned in my previous winter photography stream, one of the things that I quite often have to do when shooting with snow is underexpose the image so that you get a lot of these details
of the snow there
in the snow itself, which is something that I guess I had to learn from experience because we don't really get much snow here in the UK, so I'm not really, it's still a novelty to me. If I see snow around, I'm like, ooh, snow. It can be like the most minimal amount and I'll get excited.
The second it snows, everyone kind of goes nuts about it. I feel like I see it all over Instagram and everywhere. The moment it snows, you'll know even if you're not outside. Yeah,
definitely. So disruptive at school as well. Just looking out the window.
Yes.
Is it going to be a snow day? It's less than a millimeter.
Yeah.
Go to school, kids.
Focus.
So all right, so I've just done some quick adjustments here on the light, and if you tap and hold you can see the before and the after, so I'm just kind of going for a bit more of a dramatic look to things. And if I want to do my curves adjustment for tonality, when we tap onto here, given that this is a small interface, you have your curves appear right over the image itself. So you can just tap and click in and do whatever. And again, I'm just always amazed at how responsive the iPad is. Like it's just lean. It's so good. And I remember one day when I was editing a lot of images, I think it was on my trip back from Hong Kong. And for whatever reason, I was sat on my own in this flight. And I just had some good music on. I can't remember who it was I was listening to. I think it might have been Shaka, maybe. But anyway, I just had like really good music on, turned it up super loud, and I was just there bopping away. And I just remember like just tapping the edges of my screen, just like playing like this as I was editing photos. And before I knew it, 5 hours had passed and I'd gone through so many images completely uninterrupted, whilst everyone else was asleep. And I always thought, what does it look like to the people at the back of the plane who can just see this one screen beaming?
Yeah.
And part of me, part of me hopes that they were sort of reliving my trip to Hong Kong through my images, and they were getting a look at how things were.
Just looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, maybe they
what you
were
were doing.
learning about Lightroom along the way.
Yeah, getting a free Lightroom tutorial.
So yeah, I can just do some quick tone curve here. And of course you can go through your red, green and blue channels if you want. So this is a very red image. I'm going to accentuate a little bit of the red in the darker areas. And just slight adjustment there. And also just raise a little bit of the blue. And you see that this is going to add kind of like a blue sort of tint to things, which looks a little bit like when you scan in film incorrectly. Like if you process it the wrong way, you cross-process it, which I quite like. Cool, nice. So I can tap off there. And again, as I'm going through, I'm always tapping before and after.
I do that too, almost all the time, like to see what impact your changes have on your image.
Yeah, it's sometimes even just like leaving for a minute or two, just going and doing something else, and or even just as we're doing now, just talking through and looking up for it, and then you come back and you look down and you think, what was I doing? This isn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And always just experimenting and playing. And again, because it is so responsive on here, I find it easy. Like if I want to just see what it looks like, vibrant or unvibrant, you can just manipulate it around and it works.
Yeah.
Immediately for you.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like a lot of people assume that you have to know exactly, like you would have your image in mind and then you edit it so it looks like you had in mind. But for me, it's a lot of like trying out things to see what works. It's not this, you have it figured out and you already have this clear image in mind. I oftentimes just play around and see what I like. It's more of an intuition kind of thing than like I cannot give people an exact formula for how to do it. It's more of a, if you like how it looks,
definitely,
and if you like the adjustments, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think it's it would be surprising to so many people if they saw how many failures there were along the way.
Yeah.
It's quite a surprise just how wrong images go until you eventually find the right image that you're looking for.
Yeah. Exactly.
So one of the things that I'm actually going to do on here is, so I've got some lens corrections and geometry. So in here, I can now correct all of my verticals. So I've just tapped onto the guide and I believe I can then just draw a line to my vertical. I actually missed that first point there. Do
you do that while you're editing? Because I usually do that first. I don't know why, but I like to do that. That's the first thing I do when I...
It normally is one of the first things I do. I think given just the order of everything it is here, I've just gone through as it is. I've actually got an import preset that I use in Classic that does the auto lens profile, and I don't do the geometry because that can have some weird effects.
That gets wonky sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. But my biggest pet peeve is when there's just wonkiness or any sort of distortion in an image. It can be used to create effect, but I feel like you really have to get it right if you're going to do that. Otherwise, it just looks like you haven't noticed that everything.
I feel like it's something that you have to do intentional, then it has to be really clear that this is how you wanted it to look like. But the difference is if it's like just off a little bit, then it's really annoying. But if it's like a clear effect, like sometimes when I shoot with a really wide lens and I don't use the lens correction because I want it to look like it's an extremely wide lens and the human in the photo looks as if they have long legs, then it's like a style. But if it's like something that is just off a tiny bit and just like crooked a tiny bit, then it's just makes me so itchy.
Yeah if it's not quite in the middle, it really shouldn't be in the middle.
Either it's all to the side or it is in the middle.
Okay, so I'm now just adjusting my crop and I'm looking here, and this is actually one of those things where it is kind of difficult because you see the tunnel here. I'm using that as my focal point, but the brickwork behind it I think is even, but because we've got some foliage over to the left, it makes it look like there's more brickwork to the right side. So then you kind of have to look at it a bit optically and think, well, what feels more comfortable? It may not be mathematically in the middle.
So you can't have the tunnel in the middle, actually.
I don't know if I can or not. It's like ever so slightly. I mean, it kind of is, but it's just maybe not.
Like it looks as it is, but because the balance is heavier to one side, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with that. And now I'm going to add in some radial gradients. So I've just, I don't know if you saw that, but on the left option down here, and then tap in here. So now I can just do some local edits just on this central bit. And from here, I could raise up. So I'm sort of doing the effect of like a vignette, but a little bit more selectively. And my intention here, I think, if it works right, is I'm actually going to warm up this area. So just adding in a bit of warmth with the color balance. I think I've gone a little bit too high on the exposure.
I was also really happy to see how you did the sun in the video before. How you warmed up the sunlight.
Yeah, I do that quite a lot.
Yeah, that was really nice.
And also just add a tiny bit of sharpness detail. And I think for the sake of this image, we can call that just about done. So this is our full screen view. Tap and hold, this was before. And then this was afterwards. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it looks great. Really wintry, really moody.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a look at something else. So maybe something like this is kind of quite a simple one. I'll try and speed through here. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention an extra thing. So another tip that is when it comes to editing your images, that's a different workflow to what I've spoken about in Lightroom Classic, which is virtual copies, is versions. So when you have your images that you've edited in Lightroom CC, there's no virtual copy, which I think is still kind of a shame. I'd like to see virtual copies there. But instead, you have this thing of versions. So if you were to create new edits or new styles, you can bounce back and you can see all the different versions that you've created. So at the moment, we've got some edits here. And if where do I rename? I'm not sure how I can rename that. Anyway, or we've got our auto ones, which are done by different dates. And if we create a new version, so I could call this one Adobe Live.
Adobe Kive edit.
And so we've got the current edits. We've got our Adobe Live that I've just done today. So if we go back to our current edits and I go and make some adjustments here. So let's just do something drastic for the sake of seeing it. We've now got our current edits. I can go back to the Adobe Live and I can go back to the original. And that's just a saved time frame. So if you did want to experiment with different looks and styles, that's where you would do it. I don't really like that one. So I'm going to...
No?
I'm going to delete and go for this one, go apply. And there we go. We're now back into that edited version.
Yeah. That's nice. I think it really gives people the option to play around, just be experimental with what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. It's people just want flexibility. You just want choice, and I can never decide which edit I like, and quite often I make multiple versions.
Which makes it even harder to pick in the end.
Yeah, it really does. And then you have to come back again, like a few hours later, and really make your decision. Absolutely.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah. So I'm just going to run through some edits that I've already applied to this image, because I think the original one, which I've got as a separate file here, it looks fairly nice. It's just pretty standard. But I think with just some extra tiny tweaks, you can actually really make this pop. And when I see images or scenes like this, I always think of them as desktop wallpapers. Like
True.
Just imagine seeing over in this area the
like folders,
hard drive icon, space for the dock,
like a screensaver kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think even just with the composition of thinking of like the position of the line here, this is almost like a forced position of saying you are not allowed any files down here.
Yes, that's how I arrange my stuff too. Like around the mountain, you know that there's a mountain on Mac, and then you just arrange stuff around. That's it.
Yeah. So that's how I see the world. As
in desktop wallpapers.
So yeah, I've got some slight adjustments on here. Again, the main thing is bringing down those highlights because of the snow and the sky. And you can really see in the sky there, we've got some cloud detail that we're just bringing back from this image.
Nice.
And then raising up the shadows, which just brings that foreground. Again, this image benefits quite well from the fact that it's naturally very separated. In the top half is mostly highlights and the bottom half is mostly shadows.
Yeah.
And I've got some curves on here, just ever so slight adjustments, just raising up some of the shadows a little bit over in this area and just rolling off the highlights over to the top so nothing's actually clipping. And
Christine says the picture is endless, and I feel like that's true. Like the picture looks like it is keeps going.
Yeah, definitely. This particular view, by the way, this is in Sapporo in Japan, and it's a viewpoint that looking behind is all over the city, and you can see everything, and it's always regarded as a place that you go to at night to see like the city lights and everything. And all of the travel guides, they all say about, go up, what's it called? I think it's Mount Moiwa, I think. So go up at nighttime and you can see the city lights. And you think, well, yeah, I'm sure that's nice, but you missed this. If you spin around, you get to see this view. And at nighttime, none of this is going to be illuminated.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, there's I think there's a ski resort over there. And yeah, it's a really cool area. And this was the first time when we arrived here that I'd ever been in a city that was designed around snowy, wintry landscapes.
Yeah.
Everywhere that I've grown up and traveled to, if it snows, it's a bit of an inconvenience. Whereas here, the whole place is designed around the fact that when it snows, it snows. So it was, quite an experience, and everywhere just worked. Even if you got 6 feet of snow, it all just carries on as normal.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the dimension these photos have. Like, it looks like the layers, like the natural layers. It's so nice.
Yep. So also some extra things. So I did some adjustments here onto the horizon and perspective. Now this is a little bit cheeky because I've actually made it incorrect. But it's where, in my eyes, this feels optically more comfortable than something like this, even though the mountain is kind of sliding down.
Yeah.
Just twisting it slightly and adjusting the rotation of it, I find just suits better and will sit nicer as a desktop wallpaper.
Since we're going for the desktop wallpaper look, that's all we want.
So that is a run through one of those images. Now let's go for one that we can edit from straight. So let's do this one. So previously we were, I believe, up around this area. That was where the view was, and we were looking across over
the other side.
So now this is up the TV tower, which is a famous one. If you is there an emoji for it? No, that's the Tokyo Tower. It's very similar to the Tokyo Tower. So you know the emoji of the red. Yeah, a lot of people think it's the Eiffel Tower, but nope.
I think this is really nice to look at because of the straight lines, and the straight lines really being in the middle. Did you shoot it like this, or is this already corrected in the sense of so that it looks?
No, this is the original.
And wow!
This is, so awesome. Made no adjustments there. Took a lot of lining up and just adjustments. This is also through a glass window.
Very clean.
Cool. Yeah.
Glass window, it looks like.
It can be quite frustrating when traveling to places, when it comes to viewpoints like this, so often there are always two major restrictions. One, a lot of places don't like you coming up with big lenses and big cameras. They get a bit scared of that.
Yeah.
And the other is that there's quite often glass and fingerprints and nose prints and, you know, people who've been up against the glass. But this is very clean, and it was also quite quiet when we went up, so I think we benefited from a lack of people.
Yeah, sometimes I bring, like, for traveling, I just take the Sony because it's just so much smaller and more, I feel like it's easier to travel with than with the Canon, because the Canon is quite big.
What lenses would you use mostly on your Sony?
A 50 and the 35. I think
Nice.
the 35 probably, because it's just a universal kind of lens you can use all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the 35mm on my Fuji is always attached about like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
The field of view though is cropped in, so it's going to be probably more akin to your 50 on your Sony. But yeah, just having the one lens, it's quite freeing. It makes you look at things differently if you're always looking at it through the same, if that makes sense. I've turned off notifications on my iPad. I don't know why they still keep coming through.
You're getting notification. I'm getting a package. Like, the door keeps ringing. Really, like, for the third time. I don't know if people could hear that, but someone is really trying to deliver a package. But they have to wait now. We're busy.
So this image has some natural sort of like magenta hues to it, which I'm going to try and accentuate a little bit. It's quite tricky to work with because you're having to be very, very tight between the reds and the blue channels. But we're going to give it a go. So I think it's more in the shadow area. You see how the trees kind of have this natural sort of blueness to them.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to accentuate those a little bit. Try not to overdo it. And let's see how that looks. That was before, after. Yeah, it's all right. That's
really nice
working.
contrast already.
Could also just warm up the image slightly, just with the white balance, and then come back to our blue curves, and then just re-add that blue just even more. Because we've warmed up the image, we've got a little bit more flexibility to play with. It's a bit like lighting a scene with the wrong white balance, so you can then add a gel on the light. And just play around with some of the contrast again. And we could also go into some color grading. This is another way of essentially doing the same thing I was just doing with the curves. So in my midtones, or actually no, let's do the shadows. The shadows again, I could go for this like bluey, magenta-y hue. Highlights, I could warm them up slightly.
Looking really Christmassy now if you light it, like if you warm it up like that, for me.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You can almost add someone's illustrations over it and
someone illustrating like some more trees in the back and some stars.
Yeah.
And we have a Christmas card.
And I think overall just needs brightening just a little bit. Cool. So that is most of the color adjustments I could do on here. In terms of the geometry, I think it was pretty spot on from the start, but I'm just going to use these buildings here. Thankfully, they've got some vertical lines on them, which is helpful. So do one there. Do another one just there. And then when it comes to doing the horizontal ones, you sort of have to eyeball it and just pick a building and kind of run with it.
I think it's already pretty spot on.
I think, there we go.
Tiny changes.
So, original, finished one. Yeah.
So we're getting compliments on our live stream today because we have to pro setups. And I'm really glad people noticed that.
I'm enjoying your lighting setup behind. It's really soft. It's it really sort of like draws you in.
I had to play around with my like streaming setup a lot to get to this point. This is not how it looked like the first time I did this.
Yeah.
Months of trial and error.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you on that. I mean, I'm still trying to work out the lighting that I want in here, because this half of the room, it just falls dark. Even though I've got a window, you wouldn't believe it, but there's a window right here, and it just doesn't bring much natural light. I've actually got a light in front of me.
I have a light super close to me because I shot with natural light once, and then it changed, and I forgot to set my ISO to auto, and the image was completely blown out. I was like everything was white. Then I changed it, and then the light changed again, and everything turned dark, completely dark. No. It was a nightmare. And after that, I was like, I'm never doing this with natural lighting anymore, as soft as it might be. Mm-hmm. I'm done with that. And then I played around with the lighting, having it on different sides, camera setups. This is a whole production happening every time I do a live stream.
What camera are you using to stream with?
This is the Sony 7S I'm streaming with, because it has I don't know what the technical term is, but a naked screen. You know, if you do it with
like clean HDMI.
Yes, exactly. When you do it with the Canon, they don't have that as a tip for people. No, you have to then turn off, you have to like make the screen clean on the camera, and also then you have to do manual focus, which I would suggest people do anyway, but like all these different things you have to do in camera, which you don't have to do on a Sony. The Sony, you just plug in the HDMI.
Wow, that must be a limitation of the 6D then, because I know some of the 700D, like that line of cameras doesn't have the clean HDMI, but the 5D does. So I'm surprised that the 6D.
Maybe that's then the camera.
Yeah,
but the Sonys are just super nice to stream with.
Yeah, definitely.
You can do a stream on a pro streaming setup.
I've actually I've got a video that I need to make, running through my whole setup and everything, like the camera switching and all of the lights and everything, because it is very easy to just plug in and just turn on and everything comes to life, and it's all set up so that week on week it's nice and easy, and hopefully it's consistent from stream to stream.
Trying that too, but I feel like I've played around so many times, I don't know if my streaming setup is still consistent. I also have to move my whole apartment for these streams, because this is like
you need version control.
Yes. But I'm really glad people are enjoying it.
So this is another image that I also see as like a desktop wallpaper.
That is true. That looks like a little bit, once again, like where I came from.
Oh, really?
I came from the Black Forest, like southern Germany.
Ah.
And this is kind of what it looks like at home on Christmas. Gives me really home feelings.
I've heard of the Black Forest because someone commented on my. I did a YouTube video in Brecon Beacons in Wales, and we went to Black Mountain, and someone commented saying like, "Oh, that's funny. We've got Black Forest here." And then I immediately went and searched and looked it up, and it looks great. I really want to go visit.
Yeah, I'm going like for Christmas, and I'm taking my drone with me, so I'm hoping to get some really nice Black Forest drone shots. I think that's gonna be nice.
Nice.
It looks like this, actually. It really looks like that exactly. So it could have been that. Someone is asking where that forest is. You just said it, right? He said, is that in Wales? No.
So this
that was the commented photo. Okay.
Yeah. So this is in Shirakawa in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the place that's got houses that all look like this.
So this looks like out of a travel catalog.
It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's everything here is all like they're handmade, very traditional. Pretty much the only modern thing you'll find here is the bus that brought you in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a very cool place, and it's seasonally very different. So in the summer, you get high humidity, and these houses really help with keeping everything cool and letting the air escape. But then in winter, they've got the pretty much like a fireplace right in the center of the house that just warms everything up. And even the food here is very salty as well, so that helps sort of keep your energy when it's cold and wintry. It's a very, very cool area. Bit of a mission to get to, but it's worth it.
It looks lovely. I can't wait to travel again. I feel like I'm seeing so many amazing photos from different places all over the world. Just makes me want to pack my bag and see all these places.
There's a whole part of us that's missing right now. And it makes me so glad, though, of capturing these memories every time. Like every time I'm like, this is why I take photos. This is why I make videos. Because it's just so lovely to look back on them. I'm actually going to use the dehaze slider on this ever so slightly, because I think it just brings in some of these details, especially on the lower trees. And optically, I don't think there's anything to straighten here, so I think we look pretty good. So that was a before, that was an after. Just a extra bit of punch on everything.
I really like the blue tint, like the bluish trees. That looks really nice.
Yeah, again, comes from just the natural scenery. It's really, really noticeable. And I love the just the little pops of detail you get from the snow, because it really adds natural contrast on dark branches. But yeah, I think that's probably going to be my desktop wallpaper for the winter. So I feel like that might be an odd thing to just go around seeing the world via desktop wallpapers, but
is there anyone else out there in the chat maybe that looks at the world through, does this look like a wallpaper for the desktop? Maybe you're not alone. Maybe you feel less weird if you're not alone. Yeah,
maybe. There's got to be some, surely.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are people.
I mean, there could be people who go even further and will go out and take their desktop with them and
just look,
set that up. Yeah.
See, those are the people taking the photos with the iPad.
Yeah, maybe it's so. Yeah.
That's actually why they're taking it with the iPad, just to know if it would look good on a screen.
That's getting that aspect ratio straight out of camera.
Now it all makes sense why they're doing it.
So we've got a slightly different winter scene here, which you may not know it's winter or not, but I can tell you it was very, very cold on the back of this boat, which is, of course, in New York.
I was supposed to go to New York this year.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I went the last 2 years, and I love it so much. Just wandering around for street photography, it's just incredible. Were you going just as a trip or for an event of some sort?
Yeah, some photo projects that I was supposed to do in New York.
Oh, no.
And then obviously all of that got canceled.
Can you do it again?
I'm still hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping to do it. I mean, I don't want to make any plans for next year because I feel like I had so much planned for 2020 and none of that happened. So trying to not plan, because I feel like if I plan too much, then I get disappointed again if it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping, and let's see if it doesn't happen next year, maybe the year after, but I'm like definitely gonna go and definitely gonna try to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And even if it's just then for traveling, like I really like Philadelphia. I have friends and family there, so.
Oh, I've never been, but
no, it's really lovely.
I can only ever picture probably what the majority of people picture is scenes like Rocky is shot in Philadelphia,
yes,
right?
That's true.
Yeah. So I just think of like the building with the steps, and that's what comes to mind immediately.
There's even a statue of Rocky somewhere in Philly. I think I walked past it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's really nice. For me, it's the city that most, in the US at least, feels like Berlin. Super weird, but it has this, like, a lot of students, a lot of music, a lot of art kind of vibe. So I really like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Berlin as well, I really want to visit.
Yes, you should. It's. I love Berlin. I've been living here for 10 years, and I have no plans on leaving.
Yeah, it looks so great. I lived in Melbourne for a while, and Melbourne is. It feels like there's a similarity to Berlin with the street art and all the sort of like creativity that happens at every corner. Berlin, obviously, just a lot colder and older.
Berlin is really cold and gray in winter, but the summer is incredible. Spring, summer in Berlin, highly recommend. It's so nice. So many open airs, so many music on the streets, art everywhere.
Nice.
It's really, really awesome.
Right, so I'm gonna.
Oh, Sean says Boston has a European feel. I've never been to Boston. I've only went to Philly and Washington D.C. So. Yeah,
I've heard of Boston being quite a stone-based city. That's how I imagine it. A lot of big sort of stone architecture and just older, grander buildings, I guess.
Yeah. Jackie also likes Boston. I have to go to Boston. Harvard is in Boston. I think that's the connection I have when I hear Boston.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it, actually.
Okay, so
you made a bunch of changes while we were talking.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I like them, if I'm honest.
Sneaky.
So I'm playing around with the color grading again, which is a new tool.
Yeah. Did you add some pinks into the shadows?
Just a little bit, and I'm trying to decide if it's working or not, and I'm not sure if it is. I think overall we need to brighten some bits, and I think I need to do some local adjustments, and I might have desaturated it a little bit too much. So let's go and do a gradient from the bottom. I think the trouble I was having with this is the top half of the image has a very different temperature to the bottom half.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to brighten this slightly. Let's just get a even palette to work with. Go through the color. So I could experiment going a bit cooler. I think there we go. Is that dirty water? That's what's throwing me off.
Also, Angus says there are great photo opportunities on the coastline north of Boston. I think that's for you, Joe.
And I'd like to take it even further and go up into, like, just follow the whole Atlantic coast all the way around to, what's the next state along? New England is next, I think. But yeah, that whole area, and then goes, pretty wild and crazy as it gets into Canada, to like Newfoundland, and just a whole east trip. That would be amazing. Love to do that.
That's on the bucket list for as soon as it will be possible.
Yeah, definitely. Fortunately, I managed to do a lot of the west coast of America last year, which was a lot of fun. But
never been to the west coast.
It's quite a surprising landscape how it changes between areas of like dry and even desert type areas, and then you get into very mountainous, cold and wintry, and then you get to rainy and wet and almost tropical looking. It's quite a diverse area. But then I guess you realize you've also driven for about 30 hours, so of course it's going to change.
Yeah. No, I really want to go to the West Coast too. So many plans, so many things, places.
Yeah.
The list is very long.
Oop. Oh no, what have I done here? Here we go. So let's just create another gradient. So I've done a gradient adjustment for the bottom half, and now I'm going to do the same for the top half. And I'm going to work with this slightly. So I might just warm this up and just bring a little bit more drama into those clouds. Playing with the shadows and highlights.
I really like that the water and some reflections in the buildings have the same color. Like these details. Now.
Okay. And now that I've just done those adjustments, I think I can bring back that saturation. overall. And I could just play endlessly with this, just tinkering and what have we.
When do you know a photo is done? That's a question.
I don't know.
Is a photo ever really done?
I think that's one of the things that you struggle with a lot is you can just keep going. Sometimes,
the photo's done when the deadline arrives.
Yeah, I was just about to say that when you have a published deadline, I think that's what keeps us right up to the minute on it.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to do good old geometry. And again, tool buildings. Thank you for having vertical lines. You really make this helpful. It's always this top one. I'm like, do I go that building? Give this a go. Cool.
Jackie's leaving. Bye, Jackie. Thank you for watching today. This was a long stream. I know.
It was, yeah. How are we doing on time, actually? I haven't even...
We have like maybe 15 more minutes.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I guess we're flexible.
I'm gonna move on for this image. I wouldn't say it's done, but there's it's one of those ones that you need to come back to and have a look at.
Take a break and then look at it again.
So let's go through one that was previously edited. So this was, if we go to my versions, okay. Originally, let's have a look. Okay, so here's how the original did look, and just a slight tweak. So again, you can probably tell that I've done my radial gradient to warm up
the light in the
light on the front.
Yeah.
I'm loving this pointer. It's very helpful to just say what I'm talking about.
True. That's cool. Also, I used your trick actually, like the light, like the warming up. I tried it in one of my images and stuff like that. It really, really looks cool.
Yeah, it's you can overdo it, definitely.
Yeah. With like, like everything you can kind of overdo, I think.
Yeah. So let's actually just jump straight to that, and we can see. So if I tap into, again, my selective edits, I've got one here. So it's actually a radial gradient that I've done over the whole bike. And within there, I've got some light adjustments and a little bit of warmth. So if I went even further, see, this is overdoing it.
True.
I mean, we could make it Iceman. And yeah, just little tweaks there. And I've got some others. So I remember this dude over here in the back. I've darkened down. So this is I think it's a brush edit. So just darken down the face so it's not too distracting and makes him a little bit unrecognizable as well, which is helpful. And then I've got a gradient edit, which just brings back some of the highlights in the sky, and you see those power lines, because otherwise pretty blown out. It's actually kind of surprising how much detail is coming back there. And then I believe I've also got in this one, just a bit of sharpness and detail, which just helps draw your attention into the bike. But no crops on this image, which is quite surprising. It's one of the benefits of using a super long lens. And
what lens did you use for this?
So this was a 50 to 140 on the Fuji, so similar field of view of a 200mm.
Yeah.
And
the huge 200mm of the Canon.
This was shot at 119. And I remember hearing the bike sort of dotting in and out, and I'm just crouching down, waiting, thinking, "There's a bike coming. He's coming at some point." And then it just whizzes around the corner. It's like, here it is. I think I got a selection of them of this bike. So that was the select I did. But if we go back to my Kyoto, where is the bike? This is the wrong Kyoto library.
Is that also like a super, because I know the Canon 200 is quite the big big lens? Is yours as big? No, probably not.
I don't have it to hand. It's not as big as the Canon 200mm. It's still a solid size.
Does it need its own tripod if you put it on a tripod?
It does have a tripod foot, but I've actually taken it off.
Okay.
Yeah, I find the mount is strong enough on the camera. I don't worry with it.
That's always like for me, if it needs its own tripod, then it's kind of too big for me to carry around.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line.
You have to really decide, like, is the day worth it having that lens?
Do I want a workout incorporated into this day?
Yeah, and the amount of times that you carry it and then you don't shoot with it and you just think like, just tired myself out for no reason. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at just one final one. And I've just realized my iPad is saying 9:41 and it has done the whole time, which is, I think, just a feature of the whole screen share thing. It's so it's interesting. I remember this actually. The 9:41 was the time during the presentation of when the iPad was announced. And so when Steve Jobs is on stage and he's like, and here is the iPad, let's have a look. And it was timed in a way that when the presentation was shown, the time in the screenshot is accurate to the actual time in the venue.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yeah, that's just like a little interesting thing they've kept through for details like this when you share the screen, which is kind of cool.
I mean, kind of cool and also kind of confusing if you don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was looking, I was like,
you're like, that's
not 9:41.
This can't be right. We've traveled in time. We've traveled back in time. No, it's like it's 2:18. So we have like 10 more minutes.
Okay. So this is the edited version of this image. So again, very wintry, and I'm really enjoying playing with the sort of magenta again and the blue, but also some interesting aspects here that I might just go and touch up on is this cloud detail. So it's kind of fluffy and quite candy flossy. So I've got a gradient edit over here. I might just bring it down ever so slightly because some of those clouds are a little bit burnt. And bring back some of the highlights. And now
what that image reminds me of? Before I forget, did you watch the Budapest Hotel, the Wes Anderson movie?
Yep.
That's kind of what it reminds me of.
This whole town walking around, it felt like it was stuck in the like in the 70s, the 60s. Just everything, it looked run down, but was full of life. Very lovely people as well. I remember we went out for dinner one evening, and the owners of the restaurant were just very concerned about us walking back. It's like it's fine. It's a 10-minute walk, and they're like, "Do you want us to walk with you? Do you need help with that?" I'm like, "Don't worry, it's fine."
That's so lovely.
Of course, all in broken Japanese and English, but we knew what they meant, and or at least that's what I thought they meant. So.
Maybe it was all a misunderstanding, but it's still lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely thought. Did you learn Japanese before you went?
No. So my girlfriend is Japanese. So she speaks Japanese with her family, Japanese first. But grew up in the UK, so English is kind of like her first language as well.
Yeah.
And I've just picked up a lot from hearing through family, and it's now got to a stage where I've been so many times that I can sit in a conversation and understand where it's going. I just may not be able to join in.
Yeah.
And so much of it revolves around food. It's always talking about food, and you get to understand all the sayings and phrases, and you're like, oh, I can tell that people are hungry around here because they're all asking, do you want to eat? Do you want to eat?
But that's also the culture, because I went to China and it was like all about, they were really concerned if I was hungry, like, and if I had enough food and if I liked the food or not. And yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, food is the center of community, definitely.
Yeah.
It's taken me a lot of years to fully appreciate that, because I grew up a very fussy eater. but my habits have changed dramatically in the last 10 years or so.
I think so much like you experience a culture in such a interesting way through the food.
Yeah, definitely.
Culture. Yeah. When I went to China, like I had learned Chinese for a year, which is nothing for that language. So and a lot of the people I met there did not speak English. So they had 3 categories for food, which was fish, meat, and no meat.
Right.
That's the categories of food.
Interesting. I mean, it's very principled. It's to the point.
Like I can see it's a leaf. I can see, and the category was no meat. I was like, okay, I'll try that. It's a no meat. Okay.
When I was younger and terrible at eating, if we went to places like Subway and, you know, they would make a sandwich in front of you, you get to the salad section and my option would just be no health.
That's another category.
Yeah. Cool. So I've just done some extra adjustments here. I was mainly concerned with this area, just with the highlights on the clouds. I felt like it was potentially burning out a little bit. In some ways, I'm kind of happy to let it burn just a little bit. It shows just the brightness and everything. If we look at the original, again, it's just playing off of that slight magenta and blue hue that hits everything and just accentuating it further. And of course, correcting all the verticals and everything. But yeah, I think that's a good round off of images.
Yes.
I don't know if there's any questions about like workflow on coming from Lightroom Classic.
I feel like we've lost some people because we're so late. But there are no further questions. At least I've been trying to do my best at my multitasking, which is not my strong suit, but I'm trying to have a look at the chat and have not seen any more questions. So I think if you're ready to wrap this up, we're gonna wrap up our 90-minute stream marathon we did today, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe, for showing us your wonderful travel addicts. Really, I really want to travel now. Looking at your photos makes me really want to travel to places, especially to Japan. That I add this to my list now as well. Through this stream, I added, I think, 5 places to my I want to go to list.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you for joining us. Since Monday, YouTube decided to leave the internet for a little bit. And thank you everyone for watching. We're gonna have one last stream tomorrow, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow for one last stream. And if I don't see you, then I wish you a wonderful festive time and all the best. See you soon, guys.
Thanks for having me. See ya.